Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Way to Fluency. I'm Clara.
And I'm David. We're so glad you're here with us today.
In this episode, we're going to talk about one of the biggest challenges for English learners, pronunciation.
Yes, and not just pronunciation in general, but the most common mistakes learners make and how to fix them.
Exactly.
We're talking about the kind of mistakes that can make it harder for native speakers to understand you, even if your grammar and vocabulary are great.
And don't worry, we're not here to make you feel bad. We've both taught students from all over the world, and we know pronunciation takes time and practice.
Plus, some mistakes are actually super common, even among advanced learners. So today we'll make them clear and give you tips to improve.
Clara, before we jump into specific mistakes, I think it's important to talk about why pronunciation is so important.
Absolutely. A lot of learners focus on grammar and vocabulary, which is great. But if people can't understand what you're saying, communication becomes difficult.
Right? And good pronunciation doesn't mean having a perfect American or British accent. It's about being clear and easy to understand.
Exactly. There's no one correct accent, but there is a correct way to pronounce sounds so that people understand you. Okay, let's start with our first common mistake: confusing long and short vowel sounds.
Yes. For example, the difference between ship and sheep.
Right.
In ship, I is short. In sheep, E is long. Many learners mix these sounds, so ship can sound like sheep and vice versa.
This can cause some funny misunderstandings. Imagine telling someone, "I saw a sheep at the harbor." That's unusual.
The tip here is, listen carefully and exaggerate the difference when you practice. Say ship, sheep until your mouth feels the change.
Another classic mistake is the TH sound in words like think or this.
Oh yes, many learners replace TH with T or D. So think becomes tink, and this becomes dis.
In English, TH requires you to put your tongue gently between your teeth and blow air for the voiceless sound, like in think. Or vibrate your vocal cords for the voice sound, like in this.
It might feel strange at first, but this small change makes a big difference in clarity. Another big one, word stress. In English, every word with more than one syllable has one syllable that's stronger.
Right? Take the word banana. We say banana, not banana.
If you put the stress in the wrong place, people might need an extra second to understand you.
The solution is to listen closely to native speakers and notice which syllable is stressed. This is why listening practice is so important.
One of the best ways to fix pronunciation is by listening and repeating, also known as the shadowing technique.
Yes, but today we're just mentioning it. We're not doing the full shadowing practice in this episode.
Exactly.
The idea is to copy the rhythm, stress, and sounds of a native speaker as closely as possible.
So far, we've talked about vowel sounds, the TH sound, and word stress. But there are more mistakes we see all the time.
Yes, next, we'll talk about ending consonants, intonation, and connected speech. These can completely change how natural you sound.
Let's keep going.
A very common mistake for English learners is dropping the final consonants in words.
Right? For example, saying wa instead of what, or left instead of left.
This is especially common for learners whose native languages don't usually pronounce the last consonant strongly.
The problem is dropping the final consonant can change the meaning. For example, cap and cat. Those are two completely different words.
Exactly.
So make sure you finish the word completely, even if you say it quickly.
Another thing we hear a lot is flat intonation, speaking without changes in pitch.
Yes.
In English, intonation is very important for showing meaning and emotion. If you speak completely flat, you might sound bored or uninterested, even if you're not.
For example, in a question like, "Are you coming?" the pitch usually rises at the end. But if you say it flat, it might sound like a statement.
So, Pay attention to how native speakers move their voices up and down. That's part of sounding natural. Here's a tricky one. Overpronouncing every single war.
Yes. In English, we connect words in a sentence. We don't say, I am going to eat it. We say, I'm going to eat it.
This connection between words is called connected speech. It makes English sound smoother and faster.
If you pronounce every word perfectly separate, people will understand you, but you might sound robotic.
So, practice joining words naturally like native speakers do.
Let's make this more fun with a mini story that uses these pronunciation points.
Okay, here we go. Imagine this. Yesterday, I met my friend at the cafe. She said, I'm gonna get a cappuccino. What about you?
I answered, I think I'll have a latte. Notice how I think connects. I think becomes I think, and I'll have becomes ill of.
We talked for hours, and at the end, she said, see you later. Not see you later, but see you later.
Exactly. Listening for these small changes will help you sound more natural.
Another mistake is stressing the wrong words in a sentence.
Yes. In English, we usually stress the important words, nouns, main verbs, adjectives, adverbs, and not the small words like the or is.
For example, in I went to the store to buy some apples, the stress is on went, store, buy, and apples.
If you stress to or the, it sounds strange to native speakers.
So far, we've covered a lot of pronunciation mistakes. Long versus short vowels. The TH sound. Word stress. Dropping final consonants. Flat intonation. Overpronouncing. Sentence stress.
But we're not done yet. Next, we'll talk about common mistakes with specific tricky words and how cultural listening can improve your pronunciation naturally.
Let's keep going. David, I think it's time we talk about those everyday words that learners almost always mispronounce.
Yes, words that you probably use often, but maybe say in a way that sounds strange to native speakers.
Number 1. Vegetable. Many learners say vegetable with 4 syllables. But in natural English, we say vegetable, only 3 syllables, and the middle part is very quick.
Another one, comfortable. People often say comfortably, clearly, but we actually say comfortable.
And how about restaurant? Many learners say restaurant with 3 syllables, but we usually say restaurant in American English.
Yes, sometimes we drop sound to make speech faster. That's normal in natural English.
Another thing we hear a lot is adding extra vowels to words that end with consonants.
Right? For example, saying es top instead of stop, or es school instead of school.
This happens because in some languages, words can't end with certain consonants, so learners add a vowel to make it easier.
The tip here is practice ending the word exactly where it should end. You might have to slow down at first.
Now, here's something really important. If you only listen to textbook English, you won't hear real-life pronunciation.
Exactly. Textbooks are good for clear, slow examples, but real people speak faster, connect words, and sometimes even change sounds.
That's why we recommend listening to podcasts, TV shows, YouTube videos, even if you don't understand 100% of the words.
Because you're training your ears to hear real English, not just classroom English.
Let's do a short dialogue and highlight the pronunciation changes.
Hi, can I get a cup of coffee, please?
Sure. Would you like milk with that?
Yes, please. Just a little bit.
All right, that'll be $2.50.
In this short conversation, notice could I becomes could I with a softer D almost sounding like could I. Cup of connects into cuppa. Just a little bit becomes just a little bit.
Yes, these are small changes, but they make your speech sound smoother.
Our last mistake for today is overthinking every sound when speaking.
Yes.
If you try to pronounce perfectly every single time, you'll speak slower and feel more nervous. Instead, Focus on clarity and rhythm. If you get one sound wrong, it's okay. Native speakers make mistakes too. Exactly. The goal is communication, not perfection.
So now we've covered specific tricky words, extra vowels, cultural listening, and how not to overthink.
And in our final part, we'll give you a recap, a few daily pronunciation exercises you can do alone, and a natural way to end the episode. All right, David, let's go over what we've learned today.
Sure, we started with long and short vowels, like ship versus sheep. Then we covered the TH sound in words like think and this.
We talked about word stress, putting emphasis on the right syllable, like bien and a. And we discussed dropping final consonants, which can change meaning.
We also mentioned flat intonation, overpronouncing words separately, and sentence stress.
Then we moved to tricky words like vegetable, comfortable, and restaurant, plus the habit of adding extra vowels.
And finally, we explained why listening to real-life English is so important and how overthinking pronunciation can slow you down.
Now, here are some quick tips for practicing pronunciation every day. Listen for rhythm and stress when watching movies or videos. Repeat short phrases you hear in real conversations. Record yourself speaking and compare it to native speakers. Spend 5 minutes focusing on one sound you find difficult. Try reading a short text out loud and focusing on connecting words.
And of course, you can try the shadowing technique. Listen and repeat immediately, but that's a topic for another episode.
Remember, pronunciation isn't something you fix in a week. It's a skill that grows with time and practice.
And you don't have to sound like a native speaker. You just need to be understandable.
Exactly.
And the more you listen, speak, and notice sounds, the more natural you'll become.
If you enjoyed this episode and learned something new, give it a thumbs up.
And subscribe to Way to Fluency so you don't miss our daily episodes.
We'd love to hear from you. What's the English word you find the hardest to pronounce? Tell us in the comments.
We might include your answer in a future episode.
Thanks for joining us today.
Keep practicing, stay confident, and we'll see you next time.